Hello everyone, my name is Whitney Mahan and I am an account manager at FMT Consultants. I am joined by our senior GP developer, Aram Jung. So now I'm going to hand it over to Aram, who will be going over our agenda for today. But before I do so, if at any time during the presentation you have any questions, feel free to type them into the comment box and we will be monitoring them during the entire presentation. At the end, we will hold a Q&A portion of the presentation. Aram?
Hi everyone. Again, my name is Aram. I'm about to show you how to customize GP using Dexterity in this webinar. Now, Dexterity is the same platform that was used to develop GP. So when you choose to use Dexterity, one big advantage is that you get that seamlessness. Also, you'll find out in this webinar how quickly and easily you can customize GP using Dexterity. So with that said, I'm just going to go dive in. So I have GP here open right now, and I'm just going to open the customer maintenance window. Now, as you can see on the customer maintenance window, you have the ability to add a lot of information in a lot of different fields to a given customer. But having said that, there isn't a native ability where you can associate a contract to a customer. So in this webinar, I'm going to add that functionality to associate a contract to a customer. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to be adding a little button here called Additional that will launch a custom window. And on that custom window, you will be able to add a contract to a customer and save that change. Okay, so I'm going to dive in. The first thing you have to do when you start a project in Dexterity is you need to create your own project folder, so which I've already done here. And what you have to do next is to get a copy of a plain dictionary file, the dynamics.dic, and you can find it in the GP client folder. So as you can see, I have that already open. I'll just go right ahead and copy that over. Now you would need to launch Dexterity. So this Dexterity tool, by the way, it comes as part of the CD-ROM for Microsoft Dynamics GP. It can be found under Tools in the CD-ROM. So you just need to install it on your development machine or your workstation. Once you've done that, you can just launch Dexterity from the program files. The Start menu. So once you've done that, you can open the dictionary that I've just copied over from the GP client folder. You'll notice in the layout as you open up Dexterity is that you have a window open up that's called Resource Explorer. You know, within that window on the left-hand side, you'll see different tabs: tables, forms, and reports and scripts. So I'm just going to go. I just clicked on Tables tab, and it will list all the different tables from the main GP dictionary. So that means basically you have access to all the tables within the main dictionary. If you click on Forms, again, you see all the different forms and windows within GP. So for example, if you double-click on the RM customer maintenance window, you see the code behind version of that window. And reports, same thing. It lists all the different reports within GP. And as you click on scripts, you'll find that it's empty. So this is where you add your own custom scripts, procedures, and functions for your customization. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a SQL table that will hold that contract information against the customer. So the way you do that is you click on the Tables tab on the left-hand side, and then click New here. And that opens up a table definition window. I'm just going to give it a name and call it FMT Customer Contract. And under physical name, so the physical name is the name that is used in back-end SQL. So when you create this table, it will create a SQL table in the back-end. So I'm going to name it FMT RM101. I'll categorize it under sales. I'll leave the database type as it is, SQL. And I'm going to start adding the actual fields. So customer number and contract. So contract number is already in GP, so I'm just going to use that here. So once you've added your fields, you need to define a key, a primary key for the table. So the way you do that is click on New. And give it a name as well. So I'll just call it FMT Customer Contract Key 1. And I'll add the customer number as the primary key. And just click OK to save the changes. Next thing you have to do is obviously create the main window where you can save the contract. So same thing, you click on the Forms tab. That opens up the form definition window. So I'm just going to give it a name here as well. I'm going to call it FMT Customer Contract. Again, I'm going to put it under sales. And one very important thing to do is you need to attach the table that you just created. And then to create a new window for the form, you create the Windows tab and click New. And again, you give it a name. Which I'll call Customer Contract. And I'll give it a title as well. And I'm just going to simply add the fields onto the window. So I'm going to be adding the customer number, customer name, and the contract number. I'm also going to add the prompt. And to give it the look and feel of GP, you can manipulate some settings on their visual. And I'm also going to be adding some buttons to the form. And on the buttons, I'm going to get rid of the images. By choosing the text-only option for the style. I'm also going to make the customer ID and name uneditable. Because really, only thing you're interested in editing on this window is going to be the contract number. Now, I've already created this application before, so for the sake of time, I'm just going to copy over the code to make it happen. I'm going to save this form and reopen it because it didn't like the code I was trying to put in. Interesting. The form I just created is, I can't find it. So I'm just going to create another one. I don't know what happened there. Sorry about that. Okay, must have saved. Okay. I'm just going to close the dictionary and reopen it. Yes. Okay, so I found the form. Now I can, as you can see, I can compile the code. I'm going to explain to you what we're doing here in this code. Basically, what we're doing here is we're loading from the backend SQL the record that has the customer number that is shown, that's going to be shown on the screen as the primary key, and it loads the data onto what's called table buffer. So basically, a table buffer is a place in memory that where you operate within Dexterity with the data. So basically, what we're doing here is we're loading the data onto the table buffer, and we're locking that table record so that no one else can edit it. And then we're setting the contract number of that record to the contract number on the window and save the record. So when you issue the save table statement, it saves the change onto the SQL table, backend table. And check error, basically, that is saying if there's an error, it will display a warning message to the user. And close form, S&D customer contract is basically that closing the window. Now you can find helpful hints and some documentation on the syntax of Sanskrit within the Dexterity environment. You click on content. You can see, there's a topic called scripting, and under it you can find Sanskrit and all kinds of information that should get you started to learn Dexterity. I'm just going to close that and just pick this back up. Compile this code. I'm going to also add code to the cancel button. Cancel button basically does one thing, it just closes the window without doing anything. So that's that. Next thing we have to do is we're going to have to create what's called a startup script. So this startup script is where you register your triggers. Basically, triggers are trigger processing code is triggered when there's an event in GP. You can have your triggers register against that event, so that when that event fires, your code will also fire. So that trigger registration code looks something like this. Trigger register form, this is a statement that you can use to create that additional options menu. And on the drop-down menu, it'll show, as part of the menu, customer contract. And once you choose that customer contract off of the menu, it'll fire this code, SMT open customer contract. So I'm going to create that SMT customer contract, open script, so in the script, it opens the form, and it copies over the customer number on the customer maintenance window and the customer name on the customer maintenance window, and it just copies it over to the custom window. And it also retrieves the contract from the SQL table. So again, we're using the table buffer here. So we're setting the key first. So the customer number is the key of the table. So you set that to the customer number of the customer contract, which is in effect the customer number of the customer maintenance window. And next, once that retrieve operation is successful, you just copy over the content of the table buffer onto the window. I'm just going to compile that code. Now I'm going to compile, there's an option to compile the whole dictionary. Basically that compiles everything. Now, so I've done the coding. I'm going to show you how you can debug and actually run the code in debug mode. So debug, in the toolbar menu, debug, you choose test mode. And you just log into GP. I'm getting the error because I got GP open already. I'm going to close that. And I'm going to open the customer maintenance window. Oh, sorry. Before I do that, I need to create the actual SQL backend table from the table definition that we created within Dexterity. The way you do that is you use what's called SQL maintenance, where you choose the database and the product. Product is always dynamics.dic within the debug mode. And you check off all the different options here called drop table, create table, drop auto procedure, and create auto procedure. And what that does is basically creates the SQL backend table as well as the required store procedures. Okay, now I've created the table. Now that you can see when you click on additional and customer contract, it launches this window. And I'm going to show you how you can put a breakpoint in the code so you can actually debug and step through your code. So you click on any window, there's a debug off of the menu. You click on Script Debugger and open. Click on this Open Script button and choose your custom window. Choose the window. The click OK button is where I've added the save operation. Click on Change. Click OK. You put a breakpoint here, which I'll demo here. So you just put I'm just typing in a contract number. Click OK. And there you go. You can debug through the code. You can also see the values of the variables within the code. Now there's no errors, which means, so there was no error message, which means it went successfully. And there you go, it closes the form. If you open up the window again, see you can see it's displaying the contract number that we just saved. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the dictionary again. What I'm going to show you now is I'm going to show you how to chunk the code, meaning you're creating, you're actually compiling the code and creating a deliverable file. So the way you do that is you would have to launch the Dexterity utility. And the Dexterity utility is installed within the same folder as the rest of Microsoft Dexterity. So I'm just going to launch that. Now you can record a macro to record the process for the chunking process. So click on macro, record. I'm just going to call it deploy.mac. Open source dictionary. FMT webinar dynamics.exe. So you would open your project dictionary there, and then click on utilities, extract, click OK, and give it a name. I'll just call it FMT webinar. I'll just call it webinar actually. And then the next thing you have to do is you close the source dictionary and you have to open the dictionary as editable dictionary, the extracted dictionary, which is the webinar dictionary. And then click on utilities, and then click on auto chunk. And just give it a name as well for the chunk file. Give it a version and minor and build number. Click OK. Click yes when you're prompted to add product information. The launch file should be dynamics.set. Product name webinar. Product ID, I'm just going to give it 5213. And I'm giving the names for the forms dictionary and the reports dictionary as well. And the compatibility ID of 12.0.1. Okay. Now the chunking process is finished. As you can see, it's created a webinar chunk file. Now this is because when you leverage the macro, this whole manual process of chunking is record it because you leverage the macro. Next time you run the macro, it'll just automate the process for you. So it's just a one-time process. So I'm just going to show you how to run the macro. Click on macro, simply click on record, play, and run the macro that you created. There you go, that creates the chunk file. So next time you update your project dictionary, you simply, after you're done, you run the macro from the utilities to create an updated chunk. So in order to deploy this chunk file, you just simply copy that onto the GP client folder. And then run GP. You'll be prompted to include new code. Just click yes to that. Okay. Something went wrong during chunking. I'm just going to use what I created before. Something went wrong during the chunking process. Okay. So you get that error because with GB 2013, you have to choose to run as administrator. So there you go. So it's you can see we've deployed the customization to GP.